Crossing into the fantasy world, Jiang Cheng gained 100 million lives at the beginning. As long as you are killed, you can resurrect and gain the random ability to defeat the opponent. From then on, what he hoped for was to be killed. Ding, resurrect the host. Obtain all the strength of the opponent's father. Emperor of a certain dynasty. I'm dead now, Jiang City is just like that. Ding, resurrect the host and gain the power of the ancestral dragon. A certain immortal from the upper realm. I thought this Jiang City was so powerful that our attack was not completely destroyed. Ding, resurrect the host and obtain the blood infusion of the ancient demon lord. Holy maiden of a certain holy land. Is that all? Ding, resurrect the host and obtain. Chenggu. If there is a frequency limit for being killed, I hope it will be 100 million times. Keywords of the novel. Opening reward of 100 million lives without pop-ups, opening reward of 100 million lives. Download the complete text, opening reward of 100 million lives. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Why is it so difficult to die? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Why is it so difficult to die? Jiang Cheng's soul drifted beside his corpse, staring blankly at the system performance. Ding, it has been detected that the host has died, and the system has been officially activated. Ding, why didn't you ding a few days ago? The host gains 100 million lives, and once killed in the future, they will be resurrected with full health within 30 seconds. There is a great chance between life and death, and after resurrection, the host will surely defeat the opponent. Although the skill bunker has been established, Chenggu expressed his composure and knew that it was impossible for him to fail after crossing. The problem is that this system is too cumbersome. The original crossing point was directly inside a cave several hundred meters deep, with slippery walls, and I couldn't climb up. He waited for 7 or 8 days without anyone passing by, and in the end, he died of thirst inside, becoming a shame among the travelers. Then, the dog system finally appeared. Ding, it has been detected that the host has just died of thirst, and the system is arranging a method to overcome it. The host gains an indestructible body and no longer needs to eat. Note. The heavenly wilderness immortal body is the first constitution in the 3 realms, which can automatically absorb surrounding spiritual energy and cultivate at an unparalleled speed. It has a mysterious and divine connection, and its lifespan is on par with the heavens. It can jump out of the 3 realms and is not affected by the 5 weakness of heaven and man. Host resurrection. After more than 10 seconds, Jiang Cheng's soul returned to his body, enveloped in a golden light descending from the sky. Bathing in it, I feel like my whole person has become completely new. The light flashed away in a flash. The feeling of hunger is gone. My face has become more handsome and my figure has become more perfect. He looked at his system panel. Host. Jiang Cheng. Race. Human race. Realm. Ordinary. Divine power. None. Practice. None. Martial arts. None. Treasure. None. System level. 1, once a day, not cumulative, once a day. Does it mean there is only one chance to resurrect every day? Also, according to convention, don't we give beginners a big gift package? Jiang Cheng waited for a long time, but this system seems to have just said too much in one breath, and now the brain is hypoxic, with no further movement. What's going on here? Is that all? He didn't feel any difference except for the need to transcend normal metabolism. The cultivation speed is unparalleled in the world, and it can automatically absorb surrounding spiritual energy, which is equivalent to leveling up even while lying down. It sounds like Crass is blinded by the bull's power. It's not beautiful to be able to leave after reaching the realm of flying skills. The problem is, this cave and the surrounding territory actually have no spiritual energy at all. He also understood now that this system is passively triggered, and to trigger more rewards, he can only die a few more times. So, he needs to meet people, preferably those who are experts with vast abilities. Unfortunately, this cave is calm and tranquil. Not to mention living people, there are not even insects, and he cannot encounter any crisis. Looking at the incredibly sturdy and smooth mountain walls around him, he had a sudden inspiration. If there is no crisis, create your own crisis. Is it okay for me to hit a wall and commit suicide? The next day, after the cooldown of the resurrection count was over, he made a sprint preparation posture towards the wall. After rushing out for over 30 meters, the system prompt sound was indeed heard. In view of the host's current suicidal behavior, an additional thoughtful reminder is provided. Suicide belongs to the host's own will, and the system takes respecting the host's will as the first criterion, and will not trigger the resurrection function. Thoughtful. Stick it to your uncle. If you really respect my wishes, why don't you take me out first? Jiang Cheng couldn't hold back, and in an emergency, he could only use his hands to block it, but eventually collided with the wall. The cave was located in some desolate and uninhabited Jedi, and there was no movement for the following month. Not even a drop of rain. The indestructible nature of the wilderness is still a fortress. Although he has no cultivation at all, he is not old and never dies. His face is not even haggard, and he automatically removes dust every day. Jiang Cheng spends most of his time sleeping and occasionally wakes up bored, cursing the dog system a few times. He could tell that he was going to play with himself. Provided a system, but the birth point was incorrect. I was given a skill to blow up the sky, but I couldn't touch anyone. His biggest wish now is to have a living person. If not, he can have a fierce beast or something like that. Ah! The screams above interrupted his imagination. Has a living person finally appeared? Cheng Ji's eyes were filled with tears. He looked up and saw a skirt that highly respected Newton's laws. The pure white gauze skirt fluttered upwards as it fell, and its two slender calves kicked wildly in mid-air, zooming in on his sight at an extremely fast speed. Pang! The owner of the white gauze dress fell flat to the ground at the bottom of the cave, making a dull sound. His Jiang Cheng couldn't help but show a regretful expression. At such a high place, the key parts wouldn't have been flattened, would they? Ji Linghan struggled to get up, and his first reaction was not to look around, but to quickly stroke his scattered hair and brush off his clothes. Image is still very important. She looked only 16 or 17 years old, with delicate features, flickering eyelashes, and dark eyes like ripples. Although the bloodstains and dust mixed on the palace dress, the green silk was not smooth, and the face was still slightly red, it gave people a thrilling beauty. After a full 5 seconds, Ji Linghan, who had finished organizing his appearance, finally noticed that there was another person here. She was shocked when she thought of the pursuers behind her. He quickly took 2 steps back and offered his spiritual weapon, the flying sword. Who are you? Jiang Cheng smiled and began to provoke amidst the laughter and cheers. I'm your uncle, why don't you kill me? This book can be considered a light-hearted parody style, how to get it. I hope everyone can smile when reading this book. Also, new books for recommendation and collection. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Kill Me Quickly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Kill Me Quickly. Although beautiful women are pleasing to the eye, Jiang Cheng is a career-oriented man who values efficiency. Hurry up and kill me so that I can level up. Don't leave any ink marks. Ding. Considering the host's current behavior, the system kindly reminds that actively provoking the other party is acceptable, but verbally requesting the other party to kill oneself will determine that the host wants to commit suicide. If you want to commit suicide, the system will succeed. Puff. The system prompt almost caused Jiang Cheng to vomit blood. He originally had a good idea, and after going out, he would look for people to kill him everywhere. Even if you pay for it, it's okay. If we find the top expert in this world, wouldn't we quickly become the strongest? So this kind of operation is also considered suicide. What are you saying? Ji Linghan looked at the young man in front of him in a daze, somewhat skeptical whether he had heard the wrong thing. She swore that she had never seen such a handsome person in her life, and that face was simply a masterpiece favored by heaven, making it impossible to spot any flaws. Even, there is a subtle charm that echoes some kind of heaven and earth road. It is natural that Jiang Cheng's appearance has been finely tuned by the system in order to conform to the layout that the immortal body should have. But such a handsome person seems to have a problem with his brain. Let yourself kill him. It's nothing. Jiang Cheng quickly waved his hand and smiled, pretending that he had just said nothing. Just kidding, if you provoke and get killed, you'll die in vain. Ji Linghan across from him suddenly covered his mouth and exclaimed in surprise. You're just an ordinary person, how could you appear here? She is a cultivator, and with a little exploration of her divine sense, she can see that there is no spiritual energy in Jiang Cheng's body. Why can't ordinary people come in? Jiang Cheng asked with great interest, but in fact, it was just a collection of intelligence. This is a sealed-off place, with heavy pressure. Ordinary people will have their hearts burst and die when they enter. Why didn't you feel anything from the beginning? Is it a system protector? Sigh. Jiang Cheng let out a long sigh and adjusted his expression. Nyua, I have been sitting here for 1,000 years just to wait for the arrival of a destined person. Congratulations, I have won. Puzzy. 1,000 years. Although Ji Linghan was still in a state of being chased not long ago, he was still amused by this sentence. You can just boast, it's rare for an ordinary person to live 100 years, even 1,000 years. She naturally does not believe it. If a cultivator wants to stand still, they must at least reach the state of becoming a saint. The person in front of me has no spiritual power at all, how could it be? Jiang Cheng carried his hands behind him and looked up at the sky. Another rhetorical question. With so many caves, can ordinary people still survive after falling down? Only by asking questions can we take the initiative, right? Ji Linghan thought about it, it was really true. Even her, a cultivator who has crossed the boundaries of quenching body, condensing meridians, and attracting qi, and reached the realm of gathering energy, has fallen all over her body in pain. Can an ordinary person fall off and be mediocre? How could you not have any spiritual energy? Jiang Cheng had already figured out an excuse. I am a primordial true person who crossed over 1,000 years ago. When I faced off against my archenemy, I was ambushed and my cultivation was sealed. In the end, I was trapped here. Girl, if you take me out, I will send you a miracle. He hasn't even stepped out of the beginner zone yet, where did he come from? However, in order to deceive Ji Linghan and bring him up, it can be considered as putting in a lot of effort. Ji Linghan has never heard of such a person as Tai Chuzhenren, but when he thinks about how big the entire Feiyun prefecture is. Under its jurisdiction are 7 prefectures, and the Qinglan prefecture where she is located alone spans hundreds of thousands of miles, with numerous sects and families. How could it be that every expert's name has been heard of? Besides, it is still a character from 1,000 years ago. If one can live for 1,000 years, then at least they are also experts in the realm of destiny. Practice starts with quenching the body, and includes many realms such as condensing meridians, attracting qi, shaping spirits, gathering energy, dividing souls, spiritual platform, heavenly mandate, and Tao palace. The heavenly destiny realm is even higher than the ceiling of the entire Qinglan mansion, and Ji Linghan cannot imagine how powerful the divine powers of those high-level masters are. The person in front of me doesn't look like me no matter what. Senior. Although she didn't quite believe it, caution was the best, so she unconsciously changed her name. I can't fly up either. Ha! You still can't fly. I can fly, but this is an isolated place, and I cannot overcome the pressure here until I reach the soul separation realm. Jiang Cheng was immediately disappointed. This tool man's strength was not enough. It seems that we still need to find a way to gradually influence her. If given time, she would definitely kill herself as expected. Found it. Here suddenly, a hurried shout with surprise came from above the cave entrance, followed by 4 figures jumping down. Little bitch, I want to see where else you can escape. A woman with a sarcastic expression led by her, with a pretty face and evil intent, held a silver sword and pointed directly at Jiang Cheng. There were 3 other male disciples behind her, and as soon as they entered, they formed an encirclement. Jiang Cheng, who was truly well trained and so calm that he could no longer remain calm, silently complained. Yunxuan, are you really going to kill them all? Jiang Cheng stood up and also blocked Jiang Cheng behind him. This detailed action made him have a much better impression of this tool man. Humph, Jiang Cheng, weren't you very powerful before? Last year's 7-faction competition, you defeated me in front of such a person, making me lose face. Do you think it was very prestigious? Now that your flying immortal sect has been destroyed, you are still maintaining your authority. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Finally killed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Finally killed. Yunxuan's eyebrows fluttered with joy. It was like a cat playing with a mouse. As the first cultivation genius of the 5 sects around Zhanghua Mountain, Jiang Cheng was once a goddess worshipped and admired by disciples of various sections. Yunxuan was often compared to her. The hatred generated by jealousy can be said to have accumulated for many years. However, 3 days ago, her Jiang sect joined forces with 3 other factions to launch a surprise attack on Feixian Gate. Except for a very small number of important disciples, the other elders and disciples of Feixian's sect were almost completely wiped out, equivalent to being expelled. Yunxuan also participated in the siege battle. Although she was just a character waving flags and shouting behind the elders, she was more proactive in pursuing Jiang Cheng than anyone else. The 3 male disciples also laughed one after another. Yao's junior sister was just a careless move and caught her way. You don't need Sister Yao to do it herself, senior brother, I'll help you take her down. I don't know how my junior sister plans to make her die. Yunxuan is the daughter of Yao Qiulin, the first elder of the Jiang sect medicine refining hall. Is there any cultivator who doesn't have the need for elixirs? Although Jiang Cheng is incredibly beautiful, it makes these enemies feel unbearable, and they attack Yunxuan in all aspects, including her temperament, appearance, physique, and talent. But they know what kind of choices are more conducive to their cultivation path. Flattering Yunxuan, we can get more pills in the future. I didn't intend to kill her. Yunxuan gave a strange smile. Ah! One of the male disciples quickly exclaimed, Junior sister, how can you be so kind? Such a broad mind is truly admirable. The tone is extremely exaggerated. His flattery was so insightful that the other 2 male disciples couldn't help but grit their teeth, wishing they hadn't seized this opportunity to please their junior sister. Yunxuan pursed her lips and said disdainfully, Are you stupid? Are you still kind? I'm going to ruin her cultivation and scratch her face. In the future, I'll torture her every day as my servant girl. Isn't it better? The other 2 male disciples quickly praised loudly. Junior sister still has creativity. High, it's really too high. How could we not have thought of this method? It seems that our cultivation has always been inferior to junior sister for a reason. Jiang Cheng on the side is almost speechless. These people are really top-notch. Kang. Jiang Cheng, who was filled with grief and anger, drew his sword and a cold light shone directly at the opposite side. Yunxuan, even if I die today, I still have to take a back seat. Her originally gentle eyebrows and eyes, under the anger and sorrow, had a somewhat intimidating aura, which made Yunxuan, who was 2 years older than her, take a step back. But then, thinking of our own numerical advantage, we immediately gained confidence. Death. It depends on whether you can do it. Ji Linghan, you are just the 8th level of Jiyuan realm. We have 4 Jiyuan realms here, so I don't believe you can still make waves. After speaking, the other 4 of them all made a starting move. Although Jiang Cheng doesn't know how to cultivate, he can tell from the expressions of a few people who have a guaranteed victory. I've watched enough of the play, and the protagonist has appeared. These are 4 rare experience packs. I said, have you forgotten that there is another person here? When you come to our territory, don't you even bow down? There's no etiquette at all. He Shi Shiran arrived at the scene and stopped Ji Linghan behind him. Senior, this is just a grudge between me and them. You don't need to intervene. Ji Linghan is both moved and anxious. This senior is really kind-hearted, but his cultivation is now in decline. Not to mention facing the Jiyuan realm, even a quenched body realm can kill him. Rushing in, isn't this a self-destructive act? Jiang Cheng calmly waved his hand and made a solemn gesture, don't worry, with me around, they can't hurt you. Experience packs need to be collected, so you can still easily brush up on your likes. The other 4 looked at each other and then burst out laughing. Haha, is this person sick? Senior, you have no cultivation at all. Are you a fool? Are you obsessed with lust? Do you still want heroes to save beauty? Yao Yunxian and others are not blind, of course they saw Jiang Cheng as soon as they entered. However, the 4 of them knew at first glance that this person had no spiritual power and was just an ordinary person, so they didn't pay much attention to him and only considered him temporarily non-existent. One of the male disciples sneered out of jealousy towards Jiang Cheng's handsomeness and couldn't wait to take action. Even an ordinary person deserves to intervene. Sword light falls, blood splatters. Jiang Cheng simply collapsed into a pool of blood. Ah! Senior! Ji Linghan exclaimed in surprise, unable to believe his own eyes. Is this dead? Isn't it true that 1,000 years ago, there were experts who could dominate the world? Even if you lose your cultivation, you should have some means, right? To be honest, she had a hint of anticipation when she saw Jiang Cheng's abnormal confidence. Perhaps he can really create miracles. And now, this miracle has been shattered. Haha, it's just a bunch of grass. Yao Yunxian looked at the corpse on the ground with a hint of regret. This kid was handsome and out of the sky. She had never said a word before and planned to secretly take him back as a plaything. With that face alone, it is worth preserving for a lifetime. But ultimately, he is just an ordinary person, and if he kills him, he will kill him. Alright, it's your turn now. She refocused on Ji Linghan, her eyes filled with cruelty and excitement. Ding, the host has been killed. Jiang Cheng, who had already become a soul state, heard a series of system prompts in his mind. Detected the strength of 4 enemies, the system analyzed and will replicate all the strength of Yao Yunxuan's dad for the host. Ding, replication completed. The host has obtained triple cultivation in the soul separation realm. The host has reached the 4th level of the moon observing mind technique of the extreme moon sect. The host has automatically comprehended the 2nd level of soul mastery. The host has automatically learned the first 6 layers of the Arc Moon Sword technique. The host has become a 3rd level alchemist. The host is about to resurrect. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Yao Yunxuan's dad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Yao Yunxuan's dad Shua. A transparent faint light flashed over Jiang Cheng's corpse, and he came back to life. The bloodstains on the body are still there, but if you carefully look inside the collar, you will find that the wound just now has disappeared without a trace. He feels like his condition is better than ever before. The body is filled with bulging spiritual power, and the mind is incredibly clear. With just one thought, one can even perceive a scene thousands of kilometers away from the cave entrance. In addition, the brain has also gained insights from the first 4 layers of the Moon Observing Mind technique, the second layer of the Soul Mastery technique Secret technique, and the first 6 layers of the Arc Moon Sword techniques Heart technique out of thin air. He knew it was divine consciousness, martial arts, secret techniques, sword techniques. It's like having been practicing for decades, with ample cultivation and combat experience, without any sense of abruptness. There's no way. Yao Yunxuan's father is an elder of the medicine refining hall of the Gus sect, and the system copied all of his knowledge to Jiang Cheng. So what Yao Qiulin will do, what Jiang Cheng will do now. Even his alchemy, which is related to cultivation, has been copied by chance. Apart from having no physical memory or physical belongings of the other party, the other aspect is a replica of Yao Qiulin. Seeing him stand up again, the 5 people who were about to take action were startled. Especially the male disciple who had just taken action couldn't help but rub his eyes, suspecting that he had seen a ghost. He clearly remembers that he stabbed the key with one sword. Not to mention an ordinary person, even a cultivator in Jiuyuan realm would definitely die if he was hit by that sword. Senior, you're not dead. Ji Linghan was pleasantly surprised. Although she had just met Jiang Cheng, she still remembered the favor he had just shown her. Jiang Cheng smiled slightly and said, "Don't worry, even if their whole family dies, I won't die." He had an enigmatic appearance, but ultimately he couldn't hold back Yao Yunxian and others. "If you pretend to be a god or a ghost, then I'll kill you again." The male disciple, who was previously angry and ashamed, swung his sword again and struck down. This time, under the spiritual infusion of Jiuyuan realm, the surroundings suddenly lit up. The snow-white sword light shines brightly inside the cave like a trained horse. A strong wind rose from the sky, and before the sword arrived, the air around was a blur. Shoo! There is only a snow-white area left in front of Jiang City. "Be careful, senior." Ji Linghan exclaimed in surprise, not expecting the other party to make such a sudden move without hesitation. So much so that there was no rescue at all. The light flickered and disappeared, and a figure fell down. Ji Linghan couldn't help but turn his head and couldn't bear to continue watching. Meanwhile, Yao Yunxian and others coincidentally raised their lips, and this sword was a full blow from Senior Zhu, absolutely flawless. Being delayed twice by an ordinary person is simply disappointing. But then, their smiles solidified. Jiang Cheng remained standing still, holding a sword dripping with blood in his hand. The original owner of that sword was Senior Zhu. Unfortunately, he is now lying about 10 meters away in a strange place. Now Jiang City has 3 levels of soul realm. Even a small level difference in cultivation can lead to suppression, let alone a large level difference. Although I originally didn't have any weapons in my hand, the difference was too big, so I could still easily hang and fight. "You, how did you do it?" Yao Yunxian and others were greatly surprised. Senior Zhu is the 6th level of Jiuyuan realm, 1 level higher than Yao Yunxian herself. Even if Ji Linghan and she fight alone, they can't win without a few dozen moves. "Who the hell are you?" Yao Yunxian herself is the calmest. "Your Excellency is not from the Flying Immortal sect. Why did you help that little slut? What benefits did she give you?" This person's strength exceeded her expectations. Standing on Ji Linghan's side is not good. Her first thought was not to get angry, but to divide and win over. After killing Ji Linghan and leaving, it's not too late to turn around. She had a good idea, but unfortunately Jiang Cheng was not fooled at all. "I'm your dad, why don't you kneel down and call Dad?" Yao Yunxian instantly lost her sanity and transformed into an enraged lioness. "Kill him. Cut him alive for me." She also threw away the little attraction plan in her heart. The other 2 male disciples heard her command and immediately waved their weapons to charge forward, cooperating to attack Jiang City. Faced with the pincer attack from three sides, Jiang Cheng remained calm and composed. Proficiently pinching a sword technique, the Arc Moon sword technique is activated. I saw the long sword I had just taken turn into 6 and fly towards the three people like a shooting star. Immediately after, the three who were originally fierce were enveloped by 6 huge golden crescent sword shadows. And it happens to be 1 person and 2 people, evenly distributed. Just looking at the condensed level and massive scale of the sword shadow, Yao Yunxuan's heart completely cooled. With only the first blow, she flew backwards out. If it weren't for her armor reaching the level of a 3rd level spiritual weapon, this single strike would have killed her. How could you know our Gus sect's swordsmanship? She screamed in terror, with an expression of disbelief. The swordsmanship of Gus sect requires the coordination of Gus sect's moon-observing mind technique to be used. Even if outsiders learn, they can only learn to be pretentious. Only inner disciples of the Gus sect can be taught the mind technique. How could this person possibly be? And it is used many times more cleverly than her, which shows that it has been soaked for many years. You said I'm your dad, don't you believe me yet? End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The harvest season has finally arrived. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The harvest season has finally arrived. With a few growls, the 2 male disciples fell down. They don't have a good father like Yao Yunxian, and their level of treasure armor is too low. Under the huge gap in cultivation, I couldn't hold on for a moment. Jiang Cheng controlled the 4 sword shadows and flew towards Yao Yunxian, who was already on the verge of collapse. This time, even if Yao Yunxian was strong, she couldn't stop it. She doesn't want to die. You can't kill me, my father has set a spiritual talisman on me. Bang! The green light ahead exploded, and a transparent figure appeared in front of Jiang Cheng, blocking the fatal blow. Evil obstacles dare you. Su Ying is a middle-aged man wearing a Taoist robe, with his eyebrows erect and not angry, exuding a commanding aura. This is a trace of Yao Qiulin's soul-splitting consciousness, sealed inside the spirit talisman to protect his precious daughter. Step back. Splitting the soul and shining brightly, exhaling and speaking loudly, as if life and death are taken away. The air inside the cave became stagnant, and Ji Lingan's face turned white, and his footing was somewhat unstable. And Yao Yunxian suddenly gained confidence. A strand of soul-splitting is also remarkable for those who are strong in the soul-splitting realm. Although they have no physical entity, they can use many secret techniques that are difficult to reach in the gathering Yuan realm. Kill him. Dad, kill him quickly. Her screams echoed inside the cave, like a madman. Don't you weigh it up too? Jiang Cheng is like looking at an idiot. He has replicated all of Yao Qiulin's combat power, not to mention a strand of split soul. Even if the body arrives, there is nothing he can do. Ah! The second round of soul capturing technique is activated. His eyes sparkled with divine light, and he saw that his soul was hit by 2 dark red rays, exploding into pieces on the spot. No. Yao Yunxian couldn't believe her eyes. The biggest trump card, was it destroyed in just one go? Shoo! The 6 curved moon swords and shadows merged, piercing her heart with a chill. Kill everything that needs to be killed thoroughly. Jiang Cheng is not playing any sentimental games at this time. After the battle ended, he immediately began to search for the spoils of war. Although he has replicated all his combat power, he doesn't have any elixirs, spiritual weapons, or talismans in the array. How can it match Qing Ji's current status? He found over 100 medium-grade spirit stones and several bottles of qi-gathering pills on 3 male disciples. How poor. Shaking his head, he aimed his target at Yao Yunxian again. Ignoring the presence of another girl watching inside the cave, he just groped up and down. The benefits obtained are true. What is hypocrisy? Yao Yunxuan's 3rd order spiritual armor was quickly worn by him, and he suddenly felt a sense of security elevated to a higher level. The second-level spiritual weapon long sword in hand has also been replaced with a third-level flying sword. Finally, a storage ring was found on Yunxuan's finger. The divine consciousness of the soul separation realm surged, and the original prohibition on the ring was shattered. While looking at the dazzling array of materials inside the ring, Jiang Cheng burst into laughter. Yunxuan truly deserves to be the second generation of wealth. There are as many as 3,000 medium-grade spirit stones and over 200 top-grade spirit stones in the ring. In addition to hundreds of chi-gathering pills, there are also 3 soul-refining pills that can impact the soul separation realm. In addition, there are more than 10 various talismans. Just now, there was a huge gap in combat strength, and she didn't have time to use it. Now, Jiang Cheng is getting a discount. It wasn't until he finished his work that Ji Linghan cautiously opened his mouth. Senior. She was planning to help just now, but she didn't know she didn't need it at all. Yunxuan, the enemy, was certainly happy to be killed. She was naturally very grateful that the situation of inevitable death had been resolved. But now she is still more confused. Didn't you say you didn't have any cultivation? Why did you suddenly have the ability to flash kill those 4 people? And now, by using divine sense to investigate, it's impossible to see Jiang Cheng's strength anymore. The feeling she felt was similar to those elders inside the door, unfathomable. What made her feel the collapse of her image the most was the demeanor of this senior. The way you searched for loot just now was not very particular, was it? Even if other experts want to take spoils of war, they will also consider their image, such as letting younger generations go and take them, or finding their level too low and disdainful. Is this really a senior expert? I can't even see the proper demeanor. She made a question mark in her heart. Cough. Jiang Cheng cleared his throat, so he naturally wouldn't reveal the mysteries of the system. I can only spin around and fabricate lies. I just disguised myself as Immortal just now. Let's see if you have a kind heart, girl. You're great, you passed the test. He suddenly looked mysterious again, and Ji Linghan also believed him. Just now I saw that the senior used the swordsmanship of the Gus sect. Are you one of their people? Although he has obtained all the strength of Yao Qilin, he has not gained any memory, so Jiang Cheng is not clear about the grudges and grievances of these sections. He doesn't even know where the gate of the Gus sect opens. However, both sides had a rough idea of what they had said earlier. Are you stupid? If I were their person, would I still kill them? Okay, we're leaving here now. Yao Qilin is a master of the triple soul separation realm, and his strength is enough to fly out of the hole. Before Ji Linghan could speak, he grabbed his tender little hand. Inspired by spiritual energy, the 2 of them floated up. After a moment, we arrived outside the cave. Looking at the endless wilderness outside, Jiang Cheng laughed wildly. Ha ha ha, I'm finally free. World, I'm here. He opened his arms, as if the scenery before him was so beautiful. Ji Linghan's mouth twitched on the side, and he suspected that his head was broken. Senior, that. Are you really a master of the heavenly destiny realm? Watching her fingers intertwining, with a look of anticipation and embarrassment, Jiang Cheng also knew what she wanted to say. I'm asking for my help to seek revenge. Although her beautiful appearance combined with her shy expression exudes a certain cuteness, Jiang Cheng is a person who hates trouble. Just now he also heard that all the sects behind Ji Linghan have been destroyed. It can be imagined how strong the enemy's power is to be able to destroy a sect. Even with the system's resurrection function, City Brother doesn't want to get involved in this muddy water. There is only one chance every day, and he understands the truth that Tai Lang can get away with it. So he decisively embraced his fists. Goodbye by chance. Just as I turned around, a system prompt sound came from within my head. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Main task. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 6 Main Task, Ding, the main quest to unify the three realms has been launched. The first sentence is so thunderous that the inside of Jiang Cheng is charred and the outside is tender. That's the three realms. I just started and assigned such a huge task. I made it clear that I wouldn't let anyone complete it, right? Fortunately, the system provided an explanation next. This task is open-ended and can be completed in stages. The host will receive an integral value for each stage completed. The points can be upgraded to the system or selected for a lottery. The so-called system upgrades and lottery points are not unfamiliar to Jiang Cheng, but he easily accepted them. But what he didn't understand was how to determine the unity of the three realms and what standards were there. If you want to be invincible in the world, it only depends on your personal strength. But unifying the three realms requires a huge force, which cannot be achieved by one person. The system clearly needs to establish its own influence. There are still stages, how can it be considered as completing a stage? He found that there was actually an integral bar appearing on the system interface. Level 1 points. 0 out of 1000 available points. 0 current skill. Can be resurrected once a day, not cumulative, and can defeat enemies after resurrection. Lower level skill. Resurrected twice a day, not cumulative, can defeat enemies after resurrection. Sleeping trough, it turns out it can also increase the number of resurrections per day. Jiang Cheng is not calm anymore. Being able to resurrect once a day is actually not so safe for newcomers like him who have just left the beginner zone. For example, after just killing the group of Yunxuan, if there is another enemy stronger than the Soul Realm Triple now, he still needs to finish playing. Unless he can escape and recover the next day. If it becomes twice a day, then it will be much more stable. At this level, City Brother has been promoted. The problem is how to upgrade. At this critical moment, the system is pretending to be dead, not even popularizing science. Helpless, Jiang Cheng could only try whether spiritual stones and elixirs could work. Opening the storage ring, he found that there had really been a change. The spirit stones and chi-gathering pills in the ring all have exchange options. Then he saw the exchange rate. 1 point integral equals 100 top.grade spirit stones equals 10,000 mid-grade spirit stones. 1 point points equals 10 bottles of soul refining pills equals 100 bottles of gathering chi pills. 1 point integral equals 1/3. Order spiritual artifact. Jiang Cheng rushed into the exchange interface, but unfortunately withdrew. This system collects everything, but at best, the loot he just collected can only be exchanged for less than 4 points. It takes 1000 points to advance to the next level, isn't that too damn? It seems that completing the first stage of the task of unifying the three realms is more reliable. He turned around and saw Ji Linghan still standing near the entrance of the cave. Your sect has been destroyed by someone. Speaking of this, Ji Linghan's tears were about to come out, as if recalling the tragic situation of that day. That night, her master, uncle, and uncle all died in front of her. The four factions are besieging and have been plotting for a long time. The flying Immortal sect is powerless to resist. If it weren't for the leader using the last resort to send her out of the encirclement before her death, I'm afraid she would have perished now. Do you want revenge? Of course I want to. Ji Linghan answered without hesitation. Although she has a gentle temperament, it doesn't mean she's a bad person with no temper at all. Jiang Cheng pondered for a moment before proposing, I can help you. Ah. Ji Linghan was pleasantly surprised. Really? If the senior is willing to help me seek revenge, I am willing to repay it like a bull or a horse. She is both hopeful and moved. In her eyes, Jiang Cheng is a powerful person in the heavenly destiny realm, and this level is beyond the ceiling of Qinglan Road. Revenge is not something to reach out for. Jiang Cheng waved his hand. I don't need you to be a cow or a horse, just promise me one condition. What conditions? I want to be the leader of the Flying Immortal sect. He has decided that to unify the three realms, he must first set a small goal. For example, first pacify Qinlan Prefecture. How to smooth it out? Is it unreasonable to rush to someone else's mountain gate and kill them? That way, it may not be able to hold on to the position of righteousness, and it may even attract some so-called righteous factions to besiege. If there is a banner to avenge the Flying Immortal sect, then it will be fair and upright. Besides, the mission is supposed to develop one's own power, so it's only natural to be the leader. Ah! Ji Linghan was stunned. What operation is this? The Flying Immortal sect has been destroyed. What's the point of being the leader now? I can't see anything, can I? Moreover, all four factions are chasing after the fish that have escaped the net. Whoever reveals the name of the Flying Immortal sect is actually causing trouble. If you don't agree, then let's split up. In the cultivation world, there are countless fights and killings every day, and there are countless cases of extermination. It is impossible for him to take care of them every time he sees them. Seeing that this senior was about to leave, Ji Linghan quickly chased after him. I'm willing to do it, he said in a continuous voice. It's our luck, senior, to be the leader of our Flying Immortal sect during this critical moment. As a true disciple, she was not qualified to decide the ownership of the sect leader. However, the previous leader of the Flying Immortal sect has died in battle, and there is almost no one inside the sect, so there is no need to think too much. Okay, then I'll take on this causal part. From now on, Jiang Cheng will be the leader of the Flying Immortal sect. It was not until then that Ji Linghan knew his real name. Looking at the resolute gaze, her heart trembled and she bowed down with satisfaction. Ji Linghan, the true disciple of Feixian sect, pays his respects to the sect leader. Jiang Cheng was about to help her up when a system prompt sound came from inside his head. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Treasure Digging. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Treasure Digging. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the loyalty of a subordinate with a 7-pointed body. Reward points worth 3,000 points. Please continue to work hard, host. What kind of situation is this? Chenggu is a bit confused. It took him half a day to gather over 3 points just now. He had originally thought that he would at least wait until the Qinlan prefecture was pacified before upgrading. That requires a lot of time and energy, and it also requires dying many times. As a result, Ji Linghan, this little girl, has earned 3,000 with just one bow. This gap is probably too big, isn't it? What 7 orifices and exquisite body, so precious. He quickly entered the system panel and saw that 3,000 points had indeed been credited. For the option of whether to upgrade, Jiang Cheng did not hesitate to choose yes. The system flashed and rose to level 2. Level 2 points. 0/10,000 available points. 2,000 current skill. Can be resurrected twice a day, not cumulative, and can defeat enemies after resurrection. Lower level skill. The number of resurrections has been increased to 3 times a day, not cumulative, and after resurrection, enemies can be defeated. The next level can be resurrected again, and the safety factor has become higher. The problem is, the points have increased by 10 times. Jiang Cheng was speechless. He had thought that 3,000 points could lead to 3 consecutive levels in one breath. Thinking that the system still had a lottery option, I clicked on it. Do you want to choose a lottery? Yes. You have deducted 1,000 points. Jiang Cheng almost cursed out loud, taking 1,000 for one draw. Why don't you grab it from the system? Do you know how difficult it is to integrate? The points have been deducted and there is no room for regret. The system wheel was dazzling for a moment, and Chenggu didn't see anything clearly before freezing. Congratulations on the host's character explosion and obtaining insight skills. Note: all things in the universe have no escape form, and the host can sense the surrounding rare birds, beasts, natural materials, and treasures. Sensing range. The range of the host's divine perception. Upon hearing the outbreak of character, Jiang Cheng thought he had obtained some divine weapon or ancient divine beast. But when you think about it, if you really want to get those external things, you will win against the enemy of miscellaneous fish. Faced with a winning opponent intentionally throwing water and losing, the system will determine it as suicide, right? Because it's not a life or death crisis, but a self-seeking death. Thinking about it this way, getting a skill is actually a good thing. Anyway, being invincible after resurrection is the fundamental thing. Didn't you see that just after being resurrected, it became a triple soul realm? What is the use of this insight skill? Do you use insights? Relying on this also requires points. Can't it be another 1000 points, right? Fortunately, the system provided a thoughtful answer in advance this time. Use once and consume 10 points. 10 points of integration is still acceptable, Jiang Cheng clicked to use, and the remaining points became 990. He immediately noticed a light blue exclamation mark on top of Ji Lingen's head in front of him. The delicate body with 7 orifices. There is also a small line of explanation below. Note: the 7 orifices Linglong body belongs to the branch of the 7-star body, which is one of the 9 ancient cultivation constitutions. In addition to having a much faster cultivation speed than other cultivators, it also possesses, so even people are considered treasures. Jiang Cheng has malicious speculations. Is the system categorizing her as a natural resource or a rare beast? This skill is very awesome. Having insight means not missing out on treasures in the future. Moreover, based on the 3000 points given by Ji Linghan this time, summoning other talented individuals with magical constitutions to pledge allegiance in the future should also increase points. He was about to leave here when he noticed another exclamation mark nearby. The position of this question mark overlaps with that of Ji Linghan, and if it's not for the different colors, it's easy to overlook the past. What else is around her? Looking left and right, Jiang Cheng could only see a rocky mountain and a cave that had trapped him for a year. He suddenly understood that the treasure was underground in the cave. Wait for me first, I'll go and come. After speaking, he jumped into the cave before. Anyway, since I can fly now, I don't worry about not getting up. Returning to the bottom of the cave, Jiang Cheng saw the small characters below the exclamation mark. Fragments of the world's heart, absorbing the energy of heaven and earth, seizing the beauty of the sun and moon, and restraining all living creatures. Jiang Cheng couldn't understand this kind of empty-headed and brainy description, but fortunately there was a popular version later on. When the world first opens, the accompanying spiritual objects naturally generated by the rules of the main road can turn the surrounding area into a place full of spiritual energy. They have a suppressive effect on cultivators in that world, and the range effect depends on the level of the fragments. Fragments can generate autonomous consciousness, be collected and synthesized, and their power will become stronger and stronger. How big is the origin of this fragment? Can you manipulate the concentration of spiritual energy and suppress a group of cultivators? Jiang Cheng's eyes lit up. The origin and effect of this can no longer be described as treasures. We have to get it. But he also had some doubts. Since there are fragments of the world's heart here, why hasn't it become a place full of spiritual energy? Instead, it has become a barren land. Can this fragment not only not benefit one side, but also reverse the spiritual energy here? Kang. 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 Ripples and flying stones. The ground below is surprisingly hard. Fortunately he now has the cultivation of soul separation realm, otherwise he wouldn't be able to dig any gaps. Senior, what are you doing? Ji Linghan lay down at the entrance of the cave and looked down, watching him use his spiritual sword as a hoe to dig the ground, feeling that his cognition had been refreshed again. This expert's actions are truly profound and unpredictable, making it difficult to guess the meaning behind them. Digging for treasure. Jiang Cheng too didn't lift his head and continued to swing his sword busily. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The female goose killing her father upon entering the stage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The female goose killing her father upon entering the stage. Digging down more than 10 meters, there was finally movement. I saw a golden light rising up into the sky, shining brilliantly on the entire cave. Although it was already a soul separation realm, Jiang Cheng felt that even standing had become difficult, and his originally sharp eyes couldn't see clearly ahead. I could only see a transparent crystal the size of a finger floating in the center of the light, vaguely as if a face had appeared around the crystal. Then he died. When his soul drifted away from his body, Chenggu was bewildered. Although he felt that his biggest goal in the future was to have more experts kill him and think about how to die, he was really unprepared this time. Who would have thought that digging a treasure would lead to death? This world is also very dangerous, isn't it? If it weren't for the system, I feel like I can't even survive for an hour after crossing over. Ding! The host has been killed by the world heart fragment. Jiang Cheng was unable to roast and was killed by a piece of debris. This death method sounds too humiliating. The host is currently at level 2 and can be resurrected twice a day, allowing for a second resurrection while imbuing the host with the world's original aura. With this aura, the heart of the world fragment will recognize it as the main one. During the resurrection of Jiang City, the fragment that had just been dug out also underwent a magical transformation. The crystal became lighter and the figure became more specific, eventually transforming into a naked baby. As soon as it landed, the baby grew up against the wind. When Jiang Cheng was resurrected and opened her eyes, she had already grown to 3 or 4 years old. I finally stopped looking like I was 5 or 6 years old. Is this the fragmented appearance? Have you become a sperm? Jiang Cheng has a strong ability to accept anything that happens in this world is possible. But then he almost collapsed. The girl with a disheveled hair yet still adorned with pink carving and jade carving, her dark eyes rolled around before taking small steps. Stretching out a pair of meaty little hands, he rushed towards him. Mom! Your mom! Puff! Jiang Cheng vomited blood directly. He knew it was because of the system, so the fragments recognized themselves as the main force in terms of their original aura. He has also heard that some small animals, after breaking out of their shells, will recognize the first animal they see as their parents. But he really didn't expect that Shard also adopted this way of identifying the owner. And it was still Mom who shouted. The girl's strength was incredibly strong, and Jiang Cheng was almost knocked out by him. After finally getting up, she opened her arms again and let out a milky cry. Hug, Mom, hug. Jiang Cheng twitched at the corner of his mouth and picked her up. I'm your dad, can't you tell I'm a handsome guy? The little girl suddenly burst into tears and said, Mom, don't you want me anymore? The embrace became even tighter, and Jiang Cheng felt a bit suffocated in his neck. I can only adjust my tone a little. Well behaved, just asking you to change your name and call yourself Dad, okay? Mom. Can't you understand human language? Mom. When Jiang Qingshui came out, his face was already full of saliva. But regarding the matter of addressing, he ultimately did not win. Ji Linghan outside the cave laughed so hard that he couldn't even straighten his waist. She didn't know that Jiang Qinggang had just died again, but she still saw the process of recognizing him as the main character after becoming fragmented. Although she had never heard of the world heart fragment, she was also aware that being able to transform was definitely a rare treasure of extremely high grade. Congratulations, Master. She now regards Jiang Cheng as her own person, and it is a great joy that the leader can accept this exotic treasure. However, when speaking, I couldn't help but cover my mouth and giggle there. As a man being called a mother, Chenggu feels very embarrassed. You also come and teach her to change her address. I think this little friend doesn't understand anything. By the way, I'll help her wash and prepare a whole outfit later. After speaking, he handed the little girl over. Okay. This child is cute enough to make people cute, and Ji Linghan has long wanted to hug him. But the little girl pouted and twisted her face. No. I just want mom. This made Ji Linghan very embarrassed, and his watery big eyes spoke of grievances. However, Jiang Cheng is very satisfied. It seems that this fragment has gained a lot of self-identification since it became the owner. Good child, this ant is your own person. She will teach you a lot of things and be obedient. The little girl looked at Jiang Cheng and then at Ji Linghan before agreeing. I listen to my mother. Jiang Chenglawai comforted, what a good child. Ji Linghan happily picked up the child and then she collapsed. Damn it. Jiang Cheng's eyes were sharp and his hands were quick, helping her to hold her up. What are you doing? You won't kill her, will you? The system can only resurrect itself, not others. I have a good impression of Ji Linghan and Jiang Cheng. This girl is not like other cultivators who shout and fight when they meet. When she sees that she has obtained treasures, she does not have a greedy nature. She has a very good heart. Even without the connections of the leader, he doesn't want to see her get into trouble. The little girl pursed her lips and shook her head. I didn't kill her, she woke up in a moment. Ah. Upon investigation, Jiang Cheng discovered that Ji Linghan had indeed just fainted. What did you do to her? Mom asked me to learn from her, didn't she? I entered her consciousness and learned all her knowledge. As the little girl spoke, she casually waved around, surrounded by a circle of pink light like stars. Then, a small skirt was worn on the body. The originally scattered hair naturally formed two sheep horn braids without wind. Looking back, she is no longer much different from other human girls. Besides being cuter in appearance. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Huang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Huang, I wanted you to learn, I didn't let you invade her sea of knowledge. You are really straightforward and rough enough. Jiang Cheng was unable to roast. But since everything has been done, there is nothing to say, especially since it has indeed saved countless times. At least this girl seems to know everything. The only thing is that I'm a bit sorry for Ji Linghan, she was just so excited. So you should be sensible now, right? The little girl nodded as if pecking at the rice. Do you know everything she knows? That's right, the little girl sweetly replied. Jiang Cheng touched his smooth chin. So I'll test you, where is this? The northeast corner of Qinglong Prefecture and Feiyun Prefecture is sealed off. How many upscale sects are there in Qinglong Prefecture? 17 of them have the same strength as the Flying Immortal sect, and there is also a sect with a family that is one level stronger than these 8 major sections. The little girl answered without hesitation, without even thinking about it. What is that family of generations? They are from the Cherizong and Duanmu families, both of which have Lingtai realm cultivators. Jiang Cheng nodded in satisfaction, but in fact, he didn't know about this intelligence yet. Not bad. Hee. After receiving his praise, the little girl was very satisfied and climbed into his arms to rub against him. Since you know everything. Jiang Cheng coaxed gently. Then you should know that I'm a man, should I call Dad? I can't understand what Mom is saying. The little girl flickered her long eyelashes, her eyes full of innocence. I learned to pretend at such a young age, okay you. Jiang Cheng's eyes rolled and he said, you don't have a name yet, do you? I'll take one for you. The little girl immediately patted her meaty little hand, her face filled with joy. Okay, please give your mother a name. When you were born, a yellow light rose up from the sky, so I'll call you Huang from now on. The little girl suddenly pouted, and the joy on her face turned into anger, protesting loudly. No, no, I don't want such an unpleasant name. Having obtained the common sense from Ji Lingan's memory, she naturally knew that the name Huang was usually given to dogs. Don't do it, you have to do it too. This is parents' naming. Jiang Cheng grinned harshly, you killed your father once as soon as you came out, and I haven't even reconciled with you. A lowly name is easy to support, Dad. It's all for your own good. Unless you change your name to Dad, I won't change your name. Humph. Huang glared at him fiercely, as if trying to force him to back down with his gaze. However, Chenggu is not a vegetarian either. Although his childish gaze, even if angry, is enough to make people cute, this is a matter of principle. So everyone, big and small, stared at each other like this. After a long time, Huang muttered a sentence. Mom is the worst. She still hasn't changed her name, it seems that this matter is going to end with Jiang Cheng. Although he spoke the worst, his small hand around Jiang Cheng's neck did not loosen at all. Huang needs to be obedient. Jiang Cheng smiled and touched the dog's head. Just as the words fell, the sound of wind came from afar. Immediately after, 3 figures appeared before his eyes. One of the people he is very familiar with is Yao Qiulin, whose cultivation has been replicated by him. As for the other 2, depending on their age and attire, they should also be elders of the Gus sect like Yao Qiulin. Damn it, you killed my daughter. Previously, his soul was destroyed, and he knew his location and the appearance of Jiang Cheng. I was originally holding a celebration at the Flying Immortal Gate, but now I can't afford it anymore. In a hurry, I came to seek revenge. As for the other 2 elders, they were helpers invited by him. Die for me. The revenge of killing a woman is unforgettable. Yao Qiulin's long sword is unsheathed, emitting a dazzling light in the air. Jiang Cheng has seen through his heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys with this move. Isn't it the Arc Moon sword technique that he has replicated? If there is only one opponent, Yao Qiulin, you can have a fight. Whatever he can do it himself. Cultivation and combat experience are the same. A tie should not be a problem. The problem is that the 2 elders next to him are not inferior to Yao Qiulin in terms of strength, so he is not sure if he can pick 3 out. Elder Yao, wait a moment. Let me ask a few questions first. At a critical moment, 2 other elders stopped Yao Qiulin. Are you trying to stop me from seeking revenge? Yao Qiulin was furious and his face was about to deform. Brother Yao, please be calm and not impatient. The 2 elders waved their hands. Kid, did you just see a soaring light here? Not bad, as long as you answer truthfully, we can give you a way out. When Huang was born, there was too much commotion. I just saw all 3 of them halfway, but I'm not sure about the location. Although I don't know what that light is, even fools can probably guess that there is a rare treasure. Speaking of this, Yao Qiulin, who was originally furious, surprisingly calmed down as well. Revenge is to be avenged, but can it be postponed? As long as I speak up, you won't kill me. Jiang Cheng seems really moved. The 2 elders quickly patted their chests to ensure. Of course, I never lie. Speaking so, in reality, both of them are thinking that not killing you doesn't mean not hurting you. Besides, we agreed, but the others didn't agree again. Control you and then hand it over to Elder Yao to slowly prepare. Okay, over there. Jiang Cheng pointed in a direction. He has seen the tricks of these 3 people 800 times, how could he really believe them? He is considering how to run away. If the cooldown for resurrection ends tomorrow, you can continue pretending to be forced. No, you can continue to eliminate harm for the people. However, there is still Ji Linghan lying on the ground. If he ran away, even if the 3 of them wanted to pursue her, they couldn't turn a blind eye to her. For his own people, Chenggu will not turn a blind eye to death. Besides, she has a new daughter. Just running away with 2 people will definitely catch up. Mom, are they the bad guys trying to kill you? Huang in his arms suddenly blinked his big, smooth eyes and asked questions like a curious baby. Jiang Cheng almost couldn't help but pound himself. Why did he forget that this girl is a big killing weapon? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Emptying Spiritual Power. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Emptying Spiritual Power. He quickly whispered the message. Good daughter, can you make these 3 people faint like before? With the help of others, Chenggu didn't call Huang, but changed his tone to call his obedient daughter. I can't, unless I can get in touch with them. Huang's giggling laughter echoed in Jiang Cheng's sea of consciousness, and she didn't seem to be in a hurry at all. It is not feasible to deceive others into contact. Even if one person gets confused after contact, can't the other 2 still see any problems? Jiang Cheng knew that she must have some tricks up her sleeve. Do you have a way to take them down? Yes, but in the end, Mom, you need to do it yourself. Why? At this point, he was too lazy to bother with the issue of this title. The fragments of the world cannot kill, that is a limitation imposed by the rules of the heavenly way. Jiang Cheng couldn't help but roll his eyes, expressing serious disbelief. Would it be okay if you killed your biological father before you were born? Otherwise, there would still be one chance to resurrect. However, I can help my mother clear their spiritual power inside. Emptying spiritual power. Isn't that just becoming an ordinary person? Jiang Cheng almost burst out laughing. This skill is incredible. With this move, are you still afraid of something? He coughed solemnly and said, Dad respects your idea of not killing. Let me personally handle difficult things like killing. After all, there are always people who silently bear some unknown burdens. Now, even Huang couldn't help rolling his eyes. How could I have such a shameless mother like you? When they were discussing, the 3 people across from each other also whispered a message. What if this kid points in any false direction? I think he's lying. Not bad, I admit his handsomeness, but I don't believe in his character. Why don't I go there alone to investigate and you 2 keep watching him? Is Elder Yao treating us like fools? Just in case the treasure is really there, Brother Yao won't come back after he gets it, right? He, this is really a good calculation. What do you think we should do? Let this kid lead the way, the 3 of us escort him over together. After both sides finished their meetings, the 3 of them looked at Jiang Cheng again. Kid, how can you guarantee that the direction is true? We don't believe it unless you. Before they could say they wanted to lead the way, Jiang Cheng interrupted directly. You don't have to believe it, anyway I'm just lying to you. The venue suddenly quieted down for a while. The 3 elders across from me said they have seen many scenes, but have never seen such a reply. So much so that they choked, almost unable to speak. Are you seeking death? Yao Qilin once again switched to an uncontrollable rage mode, and the flying sword floated again. Yeah, I'm looking for death. Come and kill me, Jiang Cheng smiled and rubbed his hands. With his daughter's big and thick legs, he has a lot of confidence and can't stand it. You. To be honest, before asking about the location of the treasure, Yao Qilin really couldn't bear to kill him now. Give him some color, let him know the pain. The faces of the other 2 elders also turned black. Shua, the flying sword split into 6 parts, carrying 6 rays of light as it directly attacked Jiang City. Just a few meters away, 6 virtual shadows suddenly dissipated. That long sword seemed to have turned into ordinary iron, shedding all its radiance and falling to the ground with a clang. What? Yao Qilin couldn't believe his eyes. Since reaching the chi-inducing state, his flying sword has never experienced such a mid-flight crash. What are you doing? The other two elders were very dissatisfied and felt ashamed to be listed as elders alongside such people. It was precisely when he was about to intimidate the boy and make him submit that such a low-level mistake occurred. Even they feel very embarrassed. So the two of them plan to sacrifice their flying swords and personally wield them. Then they exclaimed in surprise. "Where is my spiritual power? What happened? My spiritual power is completely depleted." "Me too." The expressions of the three were not only surprised, but also filled with a strong sense of panic. For cultivators, spiritual power, spiritual consciousness, and physical body are the three fundamental principles. Without spiritual power, all the martial arts and divine powers that require spiritual power to be exerted will be ineffective. They are not physical cultivators, and their physical bodies in the soul separation realm are not much stronger. And the secret technique of divine consciousness also requires a certain amount of spiritual support, otherwise its power will be greatly reduced. Now the three of them have less combat power than Yunxuan from Jiuan realm before. How could this not be panic-free? Is it because of the closure of the land? Impossible. Although the sealed place does not have spiritual energy, it does not exist outside the body and cannot affect the spiritual power that has already been transformed inside the body. The three of them danced and screamed incessantly. But no matter how they guessed, they couldn't guess that all of this was just a trick done by the little girl across from them. Well done. Jiang Cheng manually gave his daughter a thumbs up. Then he swaggered to the three of them, carrying his spirit sword. "You three are too disrespectful. You don't even need a flying sword to kill me." Seeing him coming over, the three of them quickly stepped back, but then calmed down again. "Kid, we lost our spiritual power, and you can't escape either. Not bad, the three of us treat you one, you will definitely die." In their minds, this must be influenced by the region, and Jiang City here must also have lost its spiritual power. As soon as the words fell, Jiang Cheng's figure flashed and disappeared into place. The three elders have lost their spiritual power, and their speed and reaction are surprisingly slow, making it impossible for them to dodge. Bang! 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 Everyone was hit hard on the head by the spirit sword. Jiang Cheng didn't use the blade, he used the spine. However, even so, at least it was the power infused by the spirit power of the soul separation realm, and the three of them had a large bump on their heads visible to the naked eye. You're bold. Evil beasts, how shameful we are. The three of them were furious. As elders of the soul separation realm, they were influential figures in the Qinlan mansion. The treatment of knocking one's head is simply a great shame. By contrast, they forgot to ask why Jiang Cheng still had spiritual power. "Ah, I'm sorry, I forgot your identity." Jiang Cheng deliberately laughed and accused him, and then offered a flying sword. 6 sword shadows emerged from the air, 1 person and 2. Does this method of death fit your identity? End of this chapter.